So-young and Song-guk stood before the assistant director, struggling to comprehend what had just transpired. Despite Song-guk's impressive performance, the rejection felt unjust, and So-young was visibly furious. Her frustration was directed at the assistant director, questioning how he could overlook such a standout act. Before she could process her thoughts further, a voice rang out from behind her. Just because that kid acted cute doesn't mean he can be a child actor. Turning around, So-young came face to face with an arrogant woman whose expression carried nothing but disdain. "How dare you aim for victory with nothing but a little charm? Do you not know your place?" she sneered. The woman's words dripped with malice. "For a low-class kid, second place is good enough." So-young clenched her fists, her anger swelling. But in that moment, there was nothing she could do. She was powerless against the cruelty being displayed so openly in front of Song-guk. Yet when her eyes met Song-guk's, she found him calm and collected. A faint smirk danced on his lips, as if he had anticipated all of this. He had already done the math. Right on cue, the sound of footsteps approached them. It was the lead director. Earlier, when the lead director had discovered that the winner had been pre-decided in Jay's favor, he had swiftly shifted his strategy. He had witnessed this sort of corruption too many times in his past life. Battles rigged from the start, where merit meant little against money. Fighting that kind of battle was meaningless. Instead, he set his sights higher, building connections. Now, standing before them, the lead director asked to speak with So-young. She was puzzled. What was left to discuss after rejection? Then came the unexpected. The director bowed his head slightly and apologized. He explained that the audition had been manipulated by higher authorities, and unfortunately, there was little he could do to change the outcome. He also offered his sincere apologies to Song-guk, who remained quiet, anticipating what would come next. The lead director then invited both Song-guk and So-young to participate in a commercial shoot scheduled for the following week. This wasn't just another gig to Song-guk. His goal had never been a one-time appearance. He intended to use this opportunity to captivate the director, forge meaningful industry relationships, and pave his path to becoming a consistent child actor, a star. His ambitions were clearly written on his face. For Song-guk, this was about securing a stable income and lifting his family out of poverty. This commercial was only the beginning. So-young, however, remained confused. Why would they call them back if they had already been rejected? She wondered. The lead director clarified. It was common practice to have 1 or 2 backup models in case the selected baby fell ill unexpectedly. And truthfully, the production team was growing anxious about the chosen winner. Jay's skills, while praised, left them uneasy. The lead director, recognizing this, gently took So-young's hand and earnestly requested her cooperation for the upcoming shoot. So-young hesitated. She wasn't sure how Song-guk would feel about stepping in under such uncertain terms, but her doubts quickly vanished when she saw the spark in his eyes. Song-guk was thrilled. Of course, he would love this opportunity. The lead director, relieved, smiled. It was clear Song-guk understood the situation perfectly, and that understanding would make everything ahead much easier. With that, he handed So-young his business card, providing his contact information for potential future collaborations involving Song-guk. The following week arrived. A commercial shoot was set up near Seoul, and So-young and Song-guk were present on set. For So-young, this was her first time at a filming location, and she took in the bustling atmosphere with wide eyes. As they arrived, the assistant director approached. Just as he began to speak, Song-guk shot him a piercing glare. This was the same corrupt assistant director who had orchestrated his rejection. The assistant director bowed his head in apology and asked them to follow him to the waiting room. As they walked, something caught Song-guk's eye, and he stopped in his tracks. His eyes widened with recognition. There it was, the third-generation washing machine from Samjeon Group, the Samjeon Turbo Washer. It had made waves in the industry with its groundbreaking drum system and had become a massive commercial success. Samjeon's stock had soared following its release, much to his grandfather's delight. The machine had even earned the title of Best Home Appliance of the Year. Now, Song-guk realized this commercial was centered around that very machine. Before they could move any further, a voice snapped from behind. It was the arrogant woman once again. She stormed toward them, furious at the sight of So-young and Song-guk on set. If they failed, why are they even here? She demanded. But this time, So-young didn't stay silent. With calm determination, she confronted the woman. She explained that they had been invited as backup models by the director himself and asked her to refrain from using harsh language in front of the child. Song-guk felt proud watching his mother stand up for them. The arrogant woman looked puzzled. Backup model? she repeated. The assistant director stepped in to explain. In case something happened to Jay, they had to be prepared. Still, the arrogant woman remained unfazed. She scoffed, confidently insisting that Jay was in perfect condition and there would be no need for a substitute. However, beside her, Jay's appearance told a different story. He didn't look nearly as confident or healthy as she claimed. Turning once more towards So-young, the woman ordered her to leave the set. But before anything more could be said, another voice cut through the tension. What's going on here? All heads turned. It was the actress Im Seon-mi, graceful and striking as ever. Everyone stood in stunned silence. After all, she was a renowned actress. Looking at the group, she asked casually, "Are these the babies I'll be filming with today?" The assistant director quickly stepped forward and explained the situation. He introduced Jay, the official audition winner, and Song-guk, the backup model. With genuine affection for the children, actress Im Seon-mi leaned forward to greet Jay. However, Jay showed no interest in responding. His lack of enthusiasm left her puzzled and slightly offended. She turned her head away in irritation, clearly taken aback by the cold reception. Her attention then shifted towards Song-guk. Unlike Jay, he understood the significance of the moment. Greeting the lead actress was not just a formality, it was essential. As Seon-mi leaned toward him, Song-guk gently reached out and took her hand. The gesture was warm and natural, as though they had already formed a bond. Seon-mi smiled, immediately sensing that Song-guk was a sweet and affectionate child. Turning to the assistant director, she said casually, "I think I'll film with this one instead. He's much cuter." Her words left the arrogant woman stunned. "What?" she gasped, grabbing Seon-mi's hand in protest. "What kind of nonsense is that?" Seon-mi calmly pulled her hand away. The two women faced off. "Don't just barge in and spout nonsense, okay?" the arrogant woman snapped. Seon-mi raised an eyebrow and replied coolly, "Excuse me, who are you? And what do you think you're doing?" As their argument intensified, both Song-guk and So-young watched the exchange with barely hidden amusement. But then, a new presence entered the scene. A hand gently rested on the arrogant woman's shoulder. She turned around, startled. "Who are you?" she demanded. Before she could say anything more, Seon-mi's expression lit up. "Vice Chairman, what brings you here?" she asked, smiling warmly. The man responded with composed authority. "I couldn't miss the shoot for our new products commercial." But the moment Song-guk saw the man's face, his expression changed completely. His eyes widened in disbelief. "No way," he thought, frozen in place. Standing before them was Jeon Jae-young, the vice chairman of Samjeon Group, and in a shocking twist of fate, Song-guk recognized him as his father from his previous life. Vice Chairman Jeon Jae-young of Samjeon, what kind of man was he? Though not quite as legendary as his father, Chairman Jeon Jushin, Jae-young had built a solid reputation of his own. During critical periods in Samjeon's history, he led company restructuring and worked tirelessly to refine the organization's internal systems. He wasn't afraid to invest in niche markets and future-forward sectors, gaining recognition as a visionary, a future leader of the tertiary industry. Within business circles, he was often called Samjeon's Jeon Jae-young, a nod to his progressive leadership and capability. Yes, as a vice chairman, he was competent, successful even, but as a man, a husband, and most painfully a father, he was the worst. Standing at a distance, Song-guk looked at him with deep frustration while Jeon Jae-young conversed casually with Seon-mi. That face, that voice, everything about him stirred unwanted memories. In his previous life, Song-guk had watched this man live recklessly, surrounded by a revolving door of mistresses. When Song-guk turned 10, there was one woman who stood out, one whom his father introduced to him personally. Even back then, Song-guk had refused to engage with her. He had no interest in forming a bond with the mistress of a father who treated his family like pawns. And now, as he stared ahead, realization hit him like a wave. The woman standing before him, actress Im Seon-mi, was the same mistress from his past life. She turned to Jae-young and pointed toward Song-guk. "I'm filming with kids this time," she said sweetly, "and I like this one." Hearing this, Jae-young stepped forward and leaned down to greet Song-guk. Both So-young and Song-guk stood frozen, stunned by this unexpected gesture. But before the moment could stretch any longer, a voice called out from nearby. "Excuse me, Vice Chairman, it's time to head inside." With a nod, Jae-young turned away. He looked toward the arrogant lady and said calmly, "Please take good care of the shoot." The woman, visibly intimidated, bowed deeply. "Of course, I'll do my best," she replied quickly. Song-guk watched all of this with a knowing gaze. He already understood the situation far too well. There was no way someone like the wife of Deokpung Paper's chairman could openly oppose Samjeon's vice chairman. Not Jeon Jae-young. His father always gave the impression of a playboy, but in critical moments, he displayed the commanding charisma expected of a vice-chairman of a major conglomerate. As Song-guk stood silently in thought, his father unexpectedly placed a hand on his head and said with a calm voice, "Take care." With that brief exchange, he turned and walked away. Song-guk watched his back fade into the distance. "Father," he whispered inwardly, "I'm going to live a different life than I did in my past." This time he had found something worth calling a family. He would protect these people. And one day, he vowed, he would build a company greater than Samjeon itself. There would come a day when they'd face each other again, on equal footing. Just then, his thoughts were cut short by the sharp voice of the assistant director. He reminded everyone that the director would be arriving soon and asked the child models to get ready. Song-guk and Jae took their places, though waiting patiently would be a stretch, especially for Song-guk. He knew that the past was behind him, and what mattered now was the present. His glowing eyes and mischievous smirk said it all. He was focused, and he was ready. He glanced at Jae with quiet confidence. The concept of the advertisement was simple, yet emotionally compelling. Set in a beautiful forest villa, a mother is seen doing laundry with her baby. She washes the father's white shirt, stained with sweat after a long day's work. The Samjeon washing machine spins into motion. The moment it stops, the shirt emerges dazzlingly white, as if brand new. The happy baby rubs his cheek against it and calls out to his father. The ad ends with a clean, refreshing shot of the shining washer. In Song-guk's previous life, this commercial had been a massive success. It was celebrated for its direction and even won an advertising award. The child actor who starred in it became an overnight sensation. Song-guk knew that this was his chance. He had to be in this ad. Jae, the original lead, had started crying uncontrollably during the shoot. The actress, visibly frustrated, snapped at the director. "This baby is not suitable for this ad. Every time I get near him, he starts hitting me." Even Soyoung, watching from the sidelines, looked confused. Jae had seemed so calm and sweet earlier. What had changed? What no one realized was that this sudden change in behavior was all part of Song-guk's plan. Knowing how deeply Jae feared his own mother's abuse, Song-guk had offered him a simple trick. Whenever Sunmi gets near you, resist, cry, act out. If you do, they'll send you home early. Perhaps it was some unspoken understanding between children, but Jae had taken the advice to heart, and now he wouldn't stop crying. Eventually, the lead director had enough. He stood up from his seat. "This isn't working," he declared. "Let's go with the second model, Song-guk." The arrogant lady's expression twisted with fury. "What are you saying?" But the director didn't back down. "We've been stuck for over an hour. The baby's not cooperating. He's even slapping the lead actress. We need to wrap today, no matter what." Still refusing to accept the decision, the arrogant woman hissed, "Do you know who we are? Don't be ridiculous." She pulled out her phone, a chunky mobile model from the 90s, and began dialing. Everyone on set froze, knowing exactly what she was threatening. "If I make this call, everyone here will be replaced," she warned. But before she could finish, a sharp slap echoed across the set. It was Sunmi. The entire crew stood in stunned silence. The arrogant lady reeled from the impact, struggling to process what had just happened. Sunmi's voice was icy. "I can't stand people who ruin a set for no reason," she said. "You may be the wife of a Deokpung paper executive, but don't let that inflate your ego." She turned calmly toward the lead director. "Let's resume the shoot," she said, her tone professional and composed. Then, raising her finger, she pointed directly at Song-guk. "I want to film with him." With Sunmi's firm call, the lead director didn't hesitate. He clapped his hands and shouted, "Everyone, stand by!" Just like that, the shoot was back on track. The arrogant lady was completely helpless now, watching her carefully laid plans fall apart. She gritted her teeth and hissed, "Why is he shooting instead of our Jae?" Her frustration boiled over as she turned on Soyoung. What could that lower-class kid possibly do? Soyoung flinched, clearly shaken by the woman's rage, but she didn't respond. And honestly, there wasn't any need to, because the camera light switched on, and that tiny red glow, it was the same light Song-guk remembered from his past life, the one that followed him all the way to death. But this time, things were different. Acting confidently in front of a camera, that was one of Song-guk's sharpest weapons. He knew exactly what to do. The shoot began. The first scene rolled in. He started with a sweet line. "How is it? Our baby's clean and fluffy, right?" Then, in the next shot, Song-guk grabbed the freshly washed shirt. Hugging it close, his little face bloomed with joy, showing off the cutest expression like he was seriously in love with that shirt. Everyone on set was stunned, completely flabbergasted. The lead director jumped into action. Keep the main camera on him. The rest of you adjust focus around Songguk. Scene after scene, Songguk gave it everything he had, hugging the shirt like it was his best friend, staying locked in with the camera like he'd been doing this all his life. The director leaned in, watching closely. His eyes, they're locked straight onto the lens. This baby is incredible. Even the actress Seonmi was thrown off a bit. She stared at the baby, genuinely baffled. How is this baby acting like this? Still, she jumped right back into character, smiling on cue. Oh my, our baby also loves clean laundry. Trustworthy, round and round. Come, meet it now. The two of them, Sunmi and Songguk, nailed every shot, like they were born for this. The camera framed them perfectly. The energy, on point. The expressions, flawless. The lead director quietly muttered under his breath, perfect. And just like that, the audition, the shoot, it was done. As the sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the set, the arrogant lady's attitude only grew worse. Her pride was clearly bruised after Jae got replaced by Songguk, and she wasn't shy about showing it. Huffing and puffing, she threw one final jab, but the lead director had heard enough. What about Jae, huh? A kid who can't even act, he shot back, irritation clear in his voice. So-young and Songguk were already exhausted, mentally drained by her non-stop arrogance. But just then, a calm voice stepped in like a breeze cutting through the tension. It was Seonmi. She approached casually but firmly and said, "Even if you scream like that, it won't change anything now." Turning to So-young and Songguk, she added gently, "No need to get worked up over this. What can anyone do if her kid just couldn't act?" Then her gaze shifted to Songguk and her tone softened even more. "Honestly, he's the best," she said, smiling with sincere admiration. "Because of him, we wrapped the whole shoot in just 2 takes. That's rare." The arrogant lady was fuming now, boiling with rage she couldn't contain. Spitting accusations left and right, she suddenly turned on the assistant director, exposing his corruption in front of everyone. The moment the lead director caught wind of that, his mood darkened. His eyes narrowed sharply, and he snapped, "We'll deal with this properly, after." The assistant director paled, visibly shaken. But before anyone could respond further, the arrogant lady stormed off, still muttering curses and insults, clearly done with the whole scene. Once she disappeared, the lead director turned towards So-young, a bit embarrassed, and bowed slightly. "I'm sorry you had to deal with that." But So-young shook her head with a small smile. "It's okay, really." His attention then shifted back to Songguk, and his face lit up with appreciation. "That kid, seriously, without him today would have been a disaster." He gave them a warm nod. "You two go home now. You've done more than enough." Songguk felt a small swell of pride. The shoot was finally over, and it went better than he could have imagined. They were heading home, mission complete. But somewhere else, Seonmi was deep in her own thoughts, a subtle smile playing on her lips. She glanced over at Songguk and So-young, then made a quick offer. "Hey," she said to So-young, "why don't you ride back in my van? I'll drop you off." And so they did. Inside the van, Songguk, tired from all the action, fell asleep fast, his tiny face calm and peaceful. So-young couldn't stop smiling watching him sleep. There was something truly heartwarming in that moment. His cuteness, his talent, and how far he'd come in just one day. As the conversation rolled on inside the van, Seonmi turned towards Songguk with a soft smile and said, "Thank you, Songguk." So-young blinked in surprise. "Huh? Why are you thanking him?" Seonmi chuckled and replied, "Because today he was the perfect lead actor. Thanks to him, I could wrap up work early." Then she leaned back, her expression thoughtful. That child, his gaze followed the camera light so naturally. He understood how the camera worked and synced his performance perfectly with mine. It might have been chance, but he even matched the angle of my face, didn't he? She paused, then added with more admiration, "He got the rhythm of the shoot. Every take, he delivered like a pro, dominating the screen like he was born to be in front of it. In my eyes, Songguk is already a complete actor." So-young turned to look at her son, eyes wide in disbelief. Is Songguk really that amazing? The thought echoed in her mind. As Seonmi smiled, she continued, "And in that sense, Songguk's mother, I'd like to make a suggestion." She slowly extended her hand towards So-young, clearly offering something big. So-young stared at the hand, amazed and caught off guard. And right then, Songguk smirked ever so slightly. This is exactly what he wanted. It was a bright, sunny day at Songguk's house. The mood was almost festive. Sitting right in front of the family, the landlady placed a thick envelope down on the table. 4,000,000 won, she said with a proud smile. Everyone's eyes widened. The original payment was supposed to be 3 million, but apparently the director had pushed for more. It was way more than they'd expected, and it showed on their faces. Songguk burst into a big, gleeful laugh. "Man, this is amazing, I knew it! Child acting was the right move. He leaned into the envelope, sniffing dramatically. Even the money smells good. While everyone was still dazed by the sight of the cash, Songguk's little brain was already spinning with plans. He didn't just want to spend it. He wanted to reinvest it. This was just step one. Meanwhile, Songguk's dad was practically trembling. "I've never held this much money in my life," he mumbled, eyes glued to the envelope like it might vanish if he blinked. But So-young, she wasn't smiling. She looked serious, worried even. Quietly, she reached into her bag and pulled out a business card, holding it up to the landlady. The landlady leaned in to take a look, and her jaw dropped. It was the business card of Sinsung Entertainment. So-young spoke up. She must have really taken a liking to Songguk. She said she wants to bring him into the agency as an exclusive child actor. That stunned the room. Songguk as an exclusive actor? So-young sighed. It's not that I'm against it. I mean, it'd be amazing if he does well. But it's all happening so fast. It just caught me off guard. The landlady sat there, thinking for a second. Then she looked up and said, "Don't worry, I'll look into it." That surprised So-young. "Huh? I've heard of Sinsung Entertainment." The landlady nodded. "I'll check who the CEO is, how they treat their actors, all of that." Hearing her say that, both So-young and Songguk lit up. They hadn't expected her to go that far for them. She stood up, brushing her hands off. "Anyway, congratulations again, Songguk. Your first gig as a commercial model. The ad's going to air in 2 weeks, by the way. So exciting." As she headed toward the door, Songguk called out behind her, "Landlady." She turned around, curious. "Yeah?" That's when So-young jumped in. "Why? Why are you helping us so much?" The landlady blinked, a little taken aback. Before she could answer, So-young continued, "You always recognize Songguk's talent. You've helped us so much already." "Why?" The landlady looked down for a second, then finally spoke. "I've been living on my own since I was young," she said quietly. "It wasn't easy. I scrimped and saved on food, wore the same clothes for years, all just to buy this building. And then your family moved in." She smiled faintly. "Seeing a young couple working hard, raising a kid together, it really hit me. It was admirable. I just wanted to support you all. Not to meddle, just cheer you on." So-young stared at her, moved beyond words. But then, with a sudden spark of excitement, she blurted out, "Unni, can I call you Uni?" The landlady blinked again, then grinned wide. And just like that, the room was filled with warmth. Not just from the sunshine, but from something stronger. Family. As they sat together chatting warmly, So-young looked at the landlady with a soft smile. "You know, I really want to treat you like family," she said. "I'll even cook some side dishes for you, too." Hearing that, the landlady paused for a second, then smiled. It was the kind of smile that came from feeling truly touched. This really is a warm-hearted household, she thought. Then she looked at So-young and nodded. "All right," she said. "I'd love that." So-young lit up like a light bulb. "Really? You mean it?" "Yeah," the landlady said, laughing. "I'm happy to be part of your family." From behind the doorframe, little Songguk had been quietly listening to everything. He smiled to himself, softly, gently. It was one of those smiles that held more meaning than words. But his dad, glancing over at him, looked confused. What's with the mysterious grin? He wondered silently. And just like that, the bond between the family and the landlady grew even stronger. 2 weeks later, the scene shifts to a modest hotel where Songguk's father worked. He was just about to close the restaurant for the day. He walked up to his boss with a slight bow. "We've shut everything down now, sir," he said politely. This was the owner of the restaurant, Mr. Park Won, a loud, friendly guy who loved to mess around. Songguk was smiling politely, but deep down, he wasn't feeling it at all. Songguk's dad continued, "Thank you again for letting us close early today. The reason? The restaurant had a big TV, and tonight was a big moment. Songguk's first commercial was going to air." As Mr. Park tried to ruffle Songguk's hair, the kid gave the fakest smile he could manage. "Please stop touching me," he thought in his head, but he held back. While all this was happening, So-young and Songguk's dad were checking the time and getting ready to watch. Then suddenly, the door opened. It was the landlady. "I couldn't miss it," she grinned. "Had to come see our star's debut." So-young's face lit up. "It's like we're watching a movie premiere," she giggled. Songguk's dad waved everyone over. "All right, come on, everyone, take your seats. The commercial's about to start." The TV screen lit up. The room fell silent. And there he was. So-mi holding Songguk appeared on screen. Gasps and smiles broke out across the room. The colours, the music, it all felt magical. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. Little Songguk, clutching a freshly washed white shirt in his tiny hands, looked up with his big sparkling eyes and said, "Daddy." A collective awe swept through the room. So-young clutched her heart. Landlady's eyes glistened. Even Mr. Park, the annoying boss, stood up and started clapping like a proud uncle. As the commercial ended and the room buzzed with praise, the landlady turned to Sunguk with a big smile. "You were amazing, kiddo," she said, her eyes full of genuine admiration. "You really stole the show." Hearing that, Sunguk felt a warm rush of pride, but he didn't let it get to his head. Instead, his thoughts wandered a bit. If things keep going like this, he thought, this commercial might even win an award. Maybe. Commercial of the year? That'd be something. But just as he was getting lost in his daydream, his father pulled him into a big, warm hug. "I still can't believe this is my son," he said, eyes gleaming. "He's so polite, so composed. Are you sure he's our kid, So Young?" So Young laughed, swatting him lightly on the arm. "Of course he is." Suddenly, the ringing of the restaurant phone cut through the cozy moment. Mr. Park, the boss, walked over and picked it up. "Hello? Yes, this is Park 1. A second later, his eyebrows shot up. "What? The director?" "It's the director who filmed the commercial. He says he needs to talk to you. Something urgent." On the other end of the line, standing beside the director, was a tall, handsome man with a calm and gentle smile on his face. His presence alone made it clear this wasn't just some casual visit. Something big was coming. The next day, the scene opens on a tall, sleek building shining under the morning sun. Songuk's family walks in, a little nervous but mostly excited. They're greeted by the lead director, who had personally invited them. As they all exchange greetings, little Sunguk looks up and gives a polite nod. "Hello, director." The lead director's eyes widen in surprise. "Oh, you're speaking more now?" Soyoung and her husband chuckle proudly. "He's changing every day," Soyoung says with a warm smile. "It's like he grows up a little more every time we blink." The director nods thoughtfully. "Then I guess we can give him some longer lines this time." They all settle into a meeting room, and the director finally brings up the reason for the meeting. "We're launching a new variety show," he explains. "It's called Just Baby. It's a parenting reality show where 5 famous idols live together with Songuk." Before he could even finish the sentence, the door swings open and a cheerful voice echoes through the room. "Hello!" They all turn, and in steps a tall, strikingly handsome young man. Soyoung's eyes widen instantly. It's Taeyoung, the leader of the idol group Just. He gives them a warm smile. "Looking forward to working with you." Tall, stylish, and effortlessly charming, Taeyoung strolls in like a prince stepping onto a stage. Soyoung's jaw is practically on the floor. Her husband narrows his eyes, clearly not loving the way her gaze is fixed. Taeyoung chuckles and asks politely, "You've heard of us?" "Oh, of course." Soyoung says quickly, her voice a bit too high. "I've seen you guys on TV. Your group is amazing." Taeyoung smiles. "We're working hard to become the nation's top idol group. You'll definitely make it," she says with a sparkle in her eyes. "Your singing and dancing are perfect." Her husband leans back in his chair, folding his arms, jealousy practically steaming off him. "Another man? In front of me? Really?" Trying to break the tension, the director continues. "Once filming begins, you'll get to meet the other 4 members of Just too." Soyoung nods, trying to look composed, but she's clearly thrilled. Still, she raises a concern. "Wouldn't this be a bit too much for Songuk? I mean, all these cameras, celebrities, it could be overwhelming." Songuk looks up at her, confused. "Overwhelming? Me?" The lead director chuckles. "Actually, Songuk is the heart of this show." He continues passionately. "He understands emotions like he feels them. His expressions? Spot on. And the way he follows the camera? It's like he was born for this." Then he turns to Songuk directly, crouching to his level. "What do you say, buddy? You ready to be a star?" Without hesitation, Songuk nods with a bright smile. "I'm ready." And just like that, a brand new chapter begins. As Songuk listened, he remembered Just Baby from his past life. It was a national hit, the first parenting reality show pairing idols with a baby. It skyrocketed in popularity, and now he was about to be at the center of it. This is perfect, he thought. My chance to rise as a child star. But his father's smile faded. He looked at the director and said, "I have a concern." The room quieted. "I know this is a big opportunity, and I see how excited Sunguk is," he continued. "But if he keeps appearing on TV, will he still grow up like a normal kid? I just wanted to raise a happy child, not a celebrity." He'd made it this far. There was no turning back now. One of the group member looked at Sunguk's father and asked gently, "Why don't you trust your son? If he has the ability to shine, why not give him the chance to do so?" Sunguk's father looked down at his son. His eyes sparkled, full of pride and wonder. He really is special, he thought. Maybe it's his destiny to shine. Finally, he looked at the director and nodded. Please take good care of him. Everyone smiled at his decision. And with that, Korea's first ever parenting reality show, Just Baby, officially began. The contract was signed, the concept shoot wrapped, and soon the first filming day arrived. The idol group Just, Taehyung, Lucas, Jaehyun, Beomgyu and Michael would be co-starring with Song-guk. Soyoung was thrilled her son would be working with such stars, though her husband clearly wasn't. One of the idols even grabbed Soyoung's hand, knowing she was a fan. That made Song-guk's dad even more jealous. With a smile, the director announced, "Starting today, we'll be filming at Just's dorm." The station had sky-high hopes for this show, and honestly, the energy on set was electric. Everyone was buzzing with excitement, ready to kick things off. But while the cameras and staff were prepping, little Song-guk's eyes scanned the idol group, and then it hit him. Wait a minute, these guys. He blinked. Yep, these were the same dudes from his previous life. One was Sam John's CF model. Another became a hotshot actor after leaving his idol days behind. They even used to greet him at company events. The realization hit like déjà vu with glitter. But before Song-guk could soak in that wave of nostalgia, Michael, the Korean-American member of the group, decided to make his entrance. With a big grin, he knelt down and said, "This baby ain't even that cute," then casually reached out to touch Song-guk. Bad move, buddy. Song-guk, in all his pint-sized glory, slapped Michael's hand away like a true diva. The whole room gasped. Turns out Michael was a smoker and hadn't washed his hands. Gross, sure. But that wasn't why Song-guk shut him down. Nope. In his past life, this same guy had stirred up nothing but drama. Toxic, two-faced, and always causing messes. So this time, Song-guk was ready. Not today, Michael. He decided then and there. He wasn't just going to be a cute face for this show. He was going to take control of the narrative, craft everyone's arcs with the flair of a seasoned director, and make sure he stayed center stage. While everyone else on set was losing their minds over how adorable Song-guk was, Michael stood there fuming. His ego bruised, his pride dented, and with that shady little smirk, Michael plotted quietly, ready to bring some evil energy to the dorm. Let the chaos begin.